Hello, this is Trouble in Paradise Creations, and we're going to talk about how our shoot went on the filming of our trailer. There was many issues that occurred when we were shooting our trailer that we didn't take into consideration, such as the fact that, like, initially when we did a drawing board for the locations and what kind of shots we was going to use for our trailer in the animatics, we used a lot of establishing shots. Then actually, when we was actually filming it, halfway we stopped because we thought that we have too many establishing shots, and because we aimed for our trailers to be 30 seconds between 1 minute long, we thought that we didn't want to waste seconds showing empty shots around the college.
Among other things, we wanted to film in a dark room, which we found out when we tried it wasn't really practical, and we also wanted to use candles within that dark room, and due to health and safety risk we couldn't use candles due to a fire alarm going off or the sprinklers coming on, so we had to actually cut that scene out because it didn't come out as good as we wanted it to.
Yeah, and just adding to the dark room, the lighting that we had for the dark room, even though we thought that would be a great effect to have, especially with the red effect, but because the lighting wasn't sufficient enough, we had like the small lighting. So when we used the lighting, we had to make the ISO on the camera very high. So when we would import it to the max, then we'll have the little dots on it. So we thought we would just scrap that out because we wanted our trailers to look as realistic as possible, making it high quality. And furthermore, the shot that didn't go to plan was the close-up of Bolla's mouth. I thought that would be an excellent effect. Then we can have the close-up of her mouth and then we'll just fade it out, but unfortunately that wasn't very practical, especially because of the direction she was running and the fact that the equipment that we had, the tripod, we just couldn't do it. So what shots did you enjoy, Guinea?
I particularly enjoyed shooting the running scene because we couldn't get it just right, so we had to keep doing it over and over again. But then when we got it right, as you can see in the trailer, it looks really, really good how we've used effects on it.
Yeah, I like the running scene again. Thank God I wasn't in it because the running they had to do, like, I loved the effect, and I always stood behind that running scene. Even that we had, like, I think we had about 10 takes on it, I was still persistent into filming that because I knew that the outcome of that running scene would be really good, and it is really good. And what else?
With the establishing shots, we had to retake a lot of them because due to that day it was a bit windy, so it kind of cut it out and it didn't look as good as it should have. So we had to retake a lot of the establishing shots due to the day we filmed. It was a bit windy, and we didn't realise until Elizabeth actually started editing the trailer that we noticed that a lot of the shots were shaky, so we had to retake it.
Yeah, with a lot of shots we had to retake it, especially the establishing shot with the Christ the King, especially because the proportion was out. Like, inevitably, like, it was going to be wonky, so we decided to cut it halfway through, and we had to reshoot the door just because of the angle we had it at. I think because it was our first time, we didn't take into considerations about that, how important the angle of our camera would be, and yeah. And one thing that we had to take in consideration, even though we had a time limit, we didn't put into consideration about people around the college that they'll be walking through. Obviously we had to
stop a couple of shots just before, like the scene where Nicholas is walking down and the girl Tatiana is behind him. We had to actually wait a good 10 minutes before we could actually film that scene because lunch had just started, so people were coming down that corridor. We didn't take that into consideration when we decided to film, as well as a lot of the shots, students just walking into it, or it wasn't practical enough for us to do it at that time.
Yeah, especially the toilet scene, we had to wait a bit because obviously we filmed in a girls' toilet, and we all know how long girls spend in the toilet. So we waited, and then we finally got our shot. And I think overall, shooting on that day was really good, as the only things we had to reshoot was the established shots, which is very minor. Yeah.